This is a video response for Bonnetmom. Thank you for the video and taking the time to watch my drivel this morning. I was thinking specifically them as commander-in-chief, like who's the better warrior. And I didn't even get into Jimmy Carter, which you sort of briefly asked. How can you really tell if somebody is not good at being commander-in-chief? You know, it's tricky, right? Well, I can use Jimmy Carter as an example. I think it's, for claiming to have such a good memory. Is it Operation Eagle Claw? When he sent the Green Berets and Delta Force into Iran in order to rescue the hostages was the plan, and the whole thing was a disastrous fiasco. Also, too, when he was having his presidential briefing and they were telling him all the different benefits, they explained to him about Marine One and transportation, and he said, "Oh, wow, cool, bring Marine One here right now." And it was, according to reports, hugely embarrassing. It took them kind of a while to get everything spooled up and actually bring the helicopter from where it was stationed at the time to the White House. And it just shows to me, it shows an immaturity towards that sort of behavior. I would like to say I have a deep level of respect for your concern over what to believe versus what not to believe. I don't know. I'm right there with you. I think when we're really in trouble is if we get to the point to where things we see with our own eyes, we don't believe. That's troublesome. You know, the little squigglies that we see on the computer box, or the little sound waves that come out of our radio speakers. I mean, that is essentially meaningless, right? Because what difference does it really make? And even you asked about Obama being killed. My opinion on that is, my honest opinion on that is, really, what difference does it make? I don't know. I don't know how I would feel if he were still alive. I don't know how I would feel if he weren't still alive. I've read books on him. I've watched podcasts and reports, spoken with people who have fought against him indirectly. And I don't know how I would feel if such a person were still walking the earth. I could tell you that in the case of OBL, he was very smart. He was a very smart person by all reports. Civil engineer, my understanding, and he would bring infrastructure to villages and stuff, and it was made him very popular with certain tribes, according to reports. I thought for the longest time that he was dead early on in our war on terror. Because I believe, allegedly, now this is just a old sea story, but allegedly we nearly had him at Tora Bora. And according to the fairy tale, W's unwillingness to use, like, it was some sort of a landmine that can be deployed via aircraft. He was unwilling to deploy those landmines around Tora Bora, and as a result, OBL eluded capture, according to the story. There was a guy on YouTube a while back, Marine, claimed to be a Marine, claimed to actually have been in one of the units working with Navy SEALs that went into Tora Bora. He also went on to claim that they pulled all kinds of infrastructure stuff out, computers, weaponry, explosives, whole 9 yards. I don't know. I don't know if he was telling the truth. I wasn't there. Not nowhere near qualified to be there. You know, those people are so amazing, and I noticed you caught yourself too on the whole men thing. The thing about it is, SMUs and those other tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 general legs, the downrange triggers, they're just a part of the overall killing machine. In the case of OBL, and when we went into that country, the CIA officer who did the heavy lifting, according to the story, is a female. They made a movie about it, even. So, as to whether or not Nisro was full of shit, why bury OBL at sea? The story goes, he took 3 rounds to the face, and according to Nisro, he had to actually hold the face together to take the recognition photos when they were doing the reports, because according to the story, as these guys hit their objective, achieve jackpot, they have certain mission verification equipment that, according to stories, was confirmed that it was OBL, as well as blood samples. I think it's published somewhere, but the excuse for OBL's burial at sea, and let me emphasize this, he wasn't just thrown off the side of the ship. He was buried at sea. There's a difference. So let's say the report is right. Let's say it's tricky. We can make stuff up in our mind and say, well, it was because the whole story is bullshit. Okay, maybe. We can also say that it was so that he couldn't be a martyr. Okay, maybe. We can also say that the particular faith of OBL requires people to be interred within a certain amount of time from the moment they perish. Maybe there was respect towards that. I don't expect anybody to understand that a burial at sea is still a burial. I don't expect anybody to understand that there may have even been Muslim personnel aboard that Navy vessel, or even a sheikh on that vessel as a chaplain of the Muslim faith. I don't expect anybody to actually believe that, because surely that doesn't happen. Navy vessels, I'm being snarky, but Navy vessels are only filled with just big, tall, white, blonde-haired jocks, right? That just open doors with sledgehammers and pretend to kill people. As for whether or not Nisro killed him versus his other guy, and cool thing about that story is the other guy, they don't actually name him, because he's, according to the story, still operational. But a bunch of former SEALs have picked on Nisro for it being a coffin kill. So the legend tells that both Nisro and this other guy both put rounds into OBL. And according to Nisro's story, when he visited the White House with the team and Obama, they were all cool about it. Nobody really, according to Nisro, again, they were all cool about it. But according to the story, Obama's like, who actually did it? Obama had that way with people, according to stories, as they're sitting around with beer, just imagine drinking beer with the president, sitting around with these badass guys. If you believe that story. And according to Nisro, he piped up and said, it was me, sir. And the rest is somewhat history. My opinion is the world is safer without OBL out there. The man had an intellect, according to reports and sources, and one of which I trust very much. There's a book called The Great War for Civilization, and it's a play off of how World War I formed the war on terror in the long run. And it was actually written by the guy from the UK newspaper. I believe he writes for The Independent, or wrote for The Independent. And he is famous for being the reporter who interviewed OBL. And he did it twice. First time early on, and then the second time it was a very different experience. So there you have it. I can babble on with the best of them. But excellent work, Bonnetmom, and I appreciate and very much respect your artist's view of these situations. So thank you so much, and I hope you're doing well and staying warm up there in the Great White Northwest. Almost the Great White Northwest, but man, can't even imagine it. Never been there. They tell me it's nice. All right. Y'all take care.